Hey guys, today I'm making the Whippersnapper by Seems Legit. Dodgers had a great game today against the Cubs. They won 11-9, go blue. So I decided to make a Whippersnapper in Dodgers colors. So stick with me and I'll show you what to do. Hey guys, today we're going to be making the Whippersnapper by Seems Legit. I have the pieces cut out. We will be using some hardware that I'll go over as we go. We have the front and back of the main body, pocket flap, an inside zipper pocket, and an outside pocket, along with the straps. As you can see, it is Dodgers themed. It's time to support those boys in blue, so let's get busy. Okay, so we are going to be making the pocket for the front of the Whippersnapper. We have the outer and the inside of the pocket. What we're going to be doing is placing these face together and then sewing up 3 sides. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. While we are sewing, we want to make sure again that we do a couple stitches forward, a couple stitches back for strength. Straight up the sides. I'm going to go ahead and flip. I need one more stitch. There we go. Across the top. Ooh, let's go back a little bit here. And there we go. Down the other side. You get to the bottom, a back stitch, lock in those stitches, and cut off the thread. What we're going to do is cut down, or actually we're just going to flip this inside out, poke out the corners, and then we are going to top stitch across the top. I'm going to change our stitch width. I typically will use 3.5 for my top stitching. And I do top stitch at about 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch. Remember, even here you're still going to need to go forward a couple, lock them in, and then go across. Okay, so you're going to be folding back the edge. The distance that you're folding it is written into the pattern, so I'm not going to give that out, but you fold the back the edge, and then you're going to sew about 1/8 of an inch from that fold right here in this crease. Remember again to back stitch, hold in those stitches. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. center out the piece, cut a little notch to mark the center. And I'm going to be lining up the pocket with that center notch. Now what we're going to be doing is using some type of erasable pen. Going to mark the edge of the fabric, and this line that we're marking is so that we can put the pocket in its appropriate spot. We're going to do it on both sides here. This particular pen is a disappearing ink, so I can't wait too long to do it, but this will keep the pocket in the right position as we sew. So on that line, you're going to take this little section here and you're going to line it up right onto that line. And then we're going to sew down. So what this is going to let us do is place the pocket in the right spot. And then on the other side as well. So see, it's already started to fade. So it's something that we have to take care of pretty darn quick so that we don't lose the spot. I always want to double check on the placement just to make sure that it's in the right spot. And this will fold over onto there. So what this does is it provides room for the pocket so that it can expand when you put things inside of it. Okay, so we're going to add the pocket flap. Make sure that both sides, the right sides, are facing together on the flap as we sew. We're going to sew around 3 sides and then flip it back out. When you get to where the point is, you want to be real careful and make sure that your stitches are right at that point so that when you turn it, it'll have a nice curve to it, a nice edge. And lock in those stitches, cut the thread. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim out the corners here just a little bit so that they can have a nicer, sharper finish to them on the other side. And here you want to kind of dip down again so that you can get a nicer point. Close to there, but don't cut into the stitches, otherwise you'll have a hole. And when we flip these, we have nice, even points. Now this one, what we're going to be doing is measuring a distance up from the top of the pocket. We're going to be sewing it here and then flipping down to sew. So I'm going to go ahead and get that measured and then we'll start sewing. Okay, so we're going to be folding this down and over. I'm going to go ahead and cut this thread though to get it out of my way. down and over. Now we have to make sure that we use a bigger seam allowance than we used the last time so that those raw edges get completely encased inside of the stitching. Much like if you you know, if you're familiar with clothing, much like you would with a French seam. Place. Go ahead and cut our thread off. We're going to be adding in a little bit of snap here so that it'll have a snap closure on the pocket. So what we're going to do now is prepare a zipper to add for our zipper pocket here. And then we are probably about halfway there. We're mostly done. It's a very easy bag to put together. So let me go ahead and get my zipper ready and we'll be right back with you in a second. I want to make sure that it's centered properly. I'm using the V's at the base here to make sure that I'm lining it up. And we're going to be sewing across the top on these lines. What this is going to allow us to do is turn the zipper into this spot and have a nice zipper pocket. Again, all measurements for this are going to be in the pattern. Turn this around and go back the other way. Cut off the loose threads so they don't go in the way. Fold this sucker in half. And make a snip. Once you have the snip in the middle, and snip up. Make sure you get as close to the thread as possible, again, without cutting through it. You want to have a good 1/2 inch of space for that triangle so that when you turn the pocket through, the corners turn out nicely and you can catch them when you're sewing. We're going to go ahead and finger press this down. If you have an iron and you're using cloth, you want to go ahead and iron that. Just make sure that you squeeze the sides in. We're going to go ahead and add that zipper after we put on a zipper head. Do the zipper head, what you're going to do is place the zipper to each side. These should be meeting in the middle, and then just kind of grab it and wiggle it down. This is off a little bit, and you can tell because it has a bigger lump on that side. So we want to go ahead and redo this here real quick. Yep, got it this time. Okay. We're going to pop that in the middle. This is going to lay down. I want it to open up to the close to the left. So what I'm going to do is actually leave this in the middle, and I'm going to put the foot down after the zipper head. And we fold this here so that it's nice and neat. Get this lined up properly. Get the foot put down. I'm going to go ahead and get moving. Increasing to my top stitching length. I'm not back stitching because I'm going to come back around onto it on the other side. One more. One more stitch. There we go. As you get to the zipper head, go ahead and stop, raise your foot up, and move the zipper out of the way. And since we've already sewn past the zipper, it's not going to do anything funky as we sew. I'm going to go ahead and sew to the corner. Down the end and back across. Once we reach our previous stitching, go a couple stitches and back to lock everything in and get it shut. We have our zipper in place. We need to make sure that we close that up, so we are going to be adding the back half of the pocket. We're leaving the bottom open because we do need to turn the bag through this way. So we're going to be starting over here, up, around, and down. So make sure that you get everything lined up where it's supposed to be. Put the zipper somewhere in the middle to keep it out of the way. Get up to the top, just make sure that everything is out of your way. Flip things around as needed. Close up the zipper when you get to it. Rotating around, making sure that everything is in. Get down to the bottom. Again, go ahead and put in a couple back stitches to lock everything in place, and cut your thread. Now, we're going to be finishing up the body by sewing everything together. You can pin in place. I've been able to do this holding everything. It's really kind of your preference. Just make sure that you're not doing what I was about to do and hanging it in the wrong direction. You want to make sure that you mark everything in place. And again, we're going all the way around the outside. Make sure everything's lined up properly here. I go all the way around the outside. Just make sure that you're keeping everything together. Again, if you are experienced, you can do this like I am. If not, you can go ahead and pin or clip it in place. If you're using vinyl on the outside, you want to go ahead and use clips because otherwise you're going to be creating holes. So let me go ahead and get this lined up here a little bit better here on the bottom for that pocket. You hear those spots where it was a little bit thicker? Swing this back around. And right over top. Back up. Alright, we're going to go ahead and turn this through. So we have our pocket, which I unhelpfully zipped shut. Stick your hand in the open end of the pocket. Grab the bottom and just pull it through. It's a super, super easy bag to birth. You want to get those little wings from the side and push those out. Last piece that we're going to be doing is top stitching around so that everything lies flat. So make sure that all your corners are out where they're supposed to be. I'm going to go ahead and tuck this in. I'm not going to shut it yet, just in case I need it. We're going to be top stitching all the way around the edge. So again, make sure you use whatever your top stitch length is. Mine's about 3.5 millimeters. With top stitching, you want to make sure that you don't go too fast because it's supposed to look neat. If you go too fast, it can get a little bit wonky. What this is going to do is it's going to shape the bag so that it lays nicely and doesn't get too puffy when you are using it. And flip this. Now you can tell that I have a contrasting thread that I've been using. I figure Dodger colors are the white, the gray, and the blue, so why not use some fun blue top stitching? Make sure that it stays in theme. the corner. This part gets a little bit tricky because of the pocket. It does need to lie flat. This spot in particular is really thick. So as you come up to it, don't be afraid to slow down. This is the main reason why I use cloth on this bag rather than vinyl, is because of tricky little spots like that. We'll make sure everything lays the way it's supposed to as you come over it. You can see how the top stitching at the edge here just makes the bag less puffy and it lets it lay nice. Right up to the end here, go right back over those stitches you started with, back a couple, and the top stitching is done. The main body of the bag is done. We're just going to be adding on some hardware and making the straps. Nice, fun boys in blue with our Dodger fabric inside of the pockets. We go ahead and seal up this bottom here. Before I forget, just tuck it in with your fingers. Make sure it's tight. There you go. Tucked in. So what we're going to be doing is adding some grommets and a snap. So I had a phone call come in, and I figured I would answer that, and then I got a little carried away and got my straps done while I had the camera off. So I have both straps done. This one's going to go around your leg, and this one's going to go around your waist to keep the bag attached to your hip. So we just need to attach the hardware to the... I'm using the inside of the grommet to measure out where I need my holes to go to put in the grommets on the bag. I don't want to snip any threads, so I have to be aware of where the threads are. But I also have to be aware that there's going to be a hook going through here, and I want to make sure that we aren't cutting out anything that's going to be vital. I'm also going to make a weensy little snip here because hopefully this one all the way through, maybe not. For the snap closures. I'm going to go ahead and pinch this closed like so. Then we're going to line it up because we're going to be making another snip in here, right down the middle. Hopefully through both layers this time. So we can add bottom half of the snap. My little pinchies. Turn this around so I can see it when I'm doing better. And you can snap the pocket shut. Yay. Now, back to the grommet holes. Going to very carefully, since I do not have a press that will cut this out for me, snip around all sides of the hole. And we will be able to pop this right on. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to change out the head on my grommet press, cut the rest of these out, and I'll be with you as soon as I have everything set up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and press in these grommets. Big side is down. You want to make sure that the little indent, you can see that piece, there's a little bit of an indent to it that goes down as well. And we're going to crunch. It puts the piece right on. Do it again. Side down, crunch, and last one right here. And crunch. We have all of the grommets on. Last thing we need to do is just put some hardware onto our straps and get them attached, and we are done. We're going to be adding in the hardware. We have our tri-glide slide here. We take one end and we're going to feed it through. And then we're going to be sewing down the end to hold this in place. Whatever I do to this strap is the same for the other strap. Both of these are done the same exact way. Go ahead and lock those stitches in. I am riding my foot right on the metal so that it's not, the needle's not hitting the metal, but we're still getting a good enough coverage area. You know how your machine is going to work, so this might work for you or it might not. What we're doing is just sewing a box around the end to hold it in place. just take off any threads that need to be cut off here. And we're going to be feeding a hook through, go up, make sure there are no twists, come back down. And we're going to attach a hook on this end the same way that we did the attachment. So we are going to line this up so that the edge of the foot, go forward a couple to lock in those stitches, back up. The foot and turn. I'm trying to keep it on the same stitching that I had before so that it's not noticeable. There are a few different ways that you can do this with little zigzags, etc. I'm just doing a square. And we're going to repeat that on the other strap. Once it's repeated, we'll be all done. Got all the straps put on. They're hooked into our grommets. Small strap goes around your leg. Bigger strap wraps around your hip. You can wear it right on the side. The great thing about this pattern is that because it's small, you don't have to take much with you when you go to the game. So you can just pop your phone into the pocket, put your wallet in the zip, and that's it. So thank you so much for watching the tutorial, and you have a great rest of the day, and go blue.